DALL-E 3, which is OpenAI's latest image generation tool, is rolling out to ChatGPT Plus users. And this could have a huge impact on how we actually prompt AI systems. So, DALL-E 3's outputs are really impressive. It can generate high quality images from scratch within seconds, and it can do it right within ChatGPT. Now, Paul, however, as you put it in your LinkedIn post, there's another bigger thing going on here. You said, quote, it's the system's ability to rewrite and improve the prompts that is potentially transformative, by which you mean it is actually adding to and rewriting the initial prompt you put in to get better output. So can you walk us through that?
Yeah, so I've got it up on the screen. So if you're watching the YouTube video, so again, we publish our podcast each week as a YouTube video also, and we cut it up into each segment. So if you have never checked out the YouTube channel, you go check out the Marketing AI Institute YouTube channel, and we've got these up. But the thing that was incredible to me, as you're saying, is all I gave the DALL-E 3 in ChatGPT was image of the construction of the Great Pyramid. That was the entire prompt. And it took, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds or so. And then it output the four images, and they were amazing. Below it just gave like a quick overview. It says, here are the images depicting the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And then it has like a little caption. So the first one is a photo representation showing workers pulling limestone blocks on sledges with a partial pyramid structure in the background. That's the caption. But when you click into it, the prompt that the machine actually gave is quite expansive. So here's the prompt that it wrote for itself to generate this image. Photo depicting the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Workers dressed in ancient Egyptian attire are seen pulling massive limestone blocks on sledges. Wet sand is visible in front of the sledges, suggesting the method used to ease the transportation. And then it keeps going on. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like that's crazy. Like I knew it was supposed to head in this direction. The second one, illustrations showcasing a bird's eye view of the Giza Plateau during the construction of the Great Pyramid. Numerous workers are actively involved in different stages of construction. Some are quarrying limestone, while others are transporting blocks using, and it just keeps going. And so that was the thing that to me became quite impressive and alluded to where this all goes. And the reason I say that is when we first started having ChatGPT and DALL-E 2 and Midjourney, it was apparent that the main friction point to get quality outputs was your ability to do a prompt. And so what we said all along was if you're a writer, you're going to be better at prompting writing tools because you can explain things. You can give guidance as though you were talking to an intern or a junior writer. If you're a graphic designer, you can do better with image generation tools because you can explain and you can have a vision better for what the output should be. So my wife as an artist could give a way better description to an image generation tool than I could as a writer. Video production, the same thing, audio production. So your expertise and your domain knowledge actually allowed you to get more value out of the tools because you could create a better prompt. Now, you could go take some prompting classes and learn some techniques around it. But at the end of the day, someone who is highly visual, who is a creative person in that space, can use better descriptions. So if I wanted to give a prompt to say, runways Gen 2, I'm not a video producer. I can't like tell it what kind of shot to take. I can't put myself in the chair of the director and explain all this stuff. So once you see this, it's like, okay, we knew that the friction point was prompting, that these language model companies and SaaS companies had every motivation in the world to remove that friction point, that they could use AI to enhance prompts, then more people would use the tools and get greater value. So it was inevitable that this was going to happen. And we saw it starting in phases, like when Gen 2 from Runway came out, that was one of the features that would enhance the prompt for you, but not at this level. And so when you look at these enhanced prompts, it's incredible and it leads to way better outputs from this system. So now as a user, I'm far more likely to use DALL-E 3 because I don't have to be good at prompting. I just have to give it an overall sense of what it is I'm looking for. And then I can pick an image and kind of iterate from there. So it's kind of that democratization of creativity to where anybody could get value from these tools regardless of their background. And that changes things.
So yeah, talk to me a little bit more about those changes. Like, what does that mean for a marketer or business leader kind of trying to both use and adopt this technology for themselves, but more broadly in their organization? Like, does prompt engineering still matter as a skill you want to train for, invest in? How does that work?
So I've never seen prompt engineering as a career path. I always saw it as a skill set. And I think that that is more true today than it was yesterday, basically. Like, it still matters. Like, there's still, when you're working with the language models to give it guidance of who it is, to say you're a researcher, you're an entrepreneur, you're a dentist, like, to give it those guardrails, to tell it to think step by step. We've actually seen recently some research saying that one of the best things you can do for these language models is tell it to take a breath and think about it step by step. For some reason, the same psychology that works on humans works on these language models, and it creates better outputs. So there's this, like, again, because these models don't come with instruction guides, that they don't even really know the best way to prompt them when they come, when they first emerge, there is always going to be a bit of an art and a science to prompting. I don't see that going away. But what this does is it probably rapidly accelerates the adoption curve of this technology because, one, it's built right into ChatGPT. So the distribution is there, it's easy to use, and the quality of the output is going to be way higher. So you're not going to have people get frustrated, like, oh, I can't do it. Well, this can handle words now, which the previous models couldn't. So all the barriers that would slow down adoption seem to be falling. So I do think that prompting still will matter, but I just feel like the AI is going to get better and better at enhancing whatever you give it. And the same is going to be so that this model we're seeing here, where it gets better at image generation prompts, the same thing is going to happen in language and in vision and in audio. And so someone like you and I, who never done audio production, we're probably going to be able to go in and use these. Deep fake technology, like being able to create deep fakes. And we'll maybe talk about that on next week episode. There's like that area is exploding right now. I just saw one with like lip dub from a company where it's just everywhere is going to have translation and deep fake capabilities, but you're going to still prompt it, and that's going to, be solved for. So I think prompting still matters. I still think it's important to learn how to do it correctly, but it's going to become less and less of a burden on the human to come up with a great prompt.
So that was an interesting point you made about, the built-in distribution here as part of ChatGPT. Obviously, there are other image generation tools. Midjourney is another popular one, but do you see yourself or others embracing image generation more thanks to how easy this is to use right within ChatGPT?
Yeah, for sure. I think so. There's a couple of things at play here. So Midjourney, I've mentioned before in the podcast, I don't use because I don't use Discord. And I'm sure Discord is not probably that hard to learn, but the couple of times I went in to do it, I was like, I don't want this. Like, it was just like another place to log into, and it just seemed more complicated than it needed to be. So I'm sure people love Midjourney. I know the image quality is amazing. I've seen a bunch of comparisons of DALL-E 2 or DALL-E 3 versus Midjourney, and sometimes Midjourney still wins. Like, fine. But the fact that ChatGPT has, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of users at this point, that's the distribution where they can win because more people are going to use it. Adobe has obviously made some big, we're going to talk about Adobe today. They've made big advancements in this area. And so Adobe users, which I'm not a power user of Adobe, Adobe users could probably just use what Adobe has. So I think it's just going to be, again, the tech you already use is likely going to be the place where you're still going to focus most of your energy, because all of these core tech companies have to build this stuff right into the technology. So in our case, I use ChatGPT all the time. So it's extremely convenient for me to have DALL-E 3 built in. I did see, and I think we'll put this in the newsletter, you can now build images right in Google search. Like that was new in the last week, where if you do an image search, one of the options now is just to like create the image. I assume they're using ImageGen, which is Google's image generation technology that they introduced last year but never released. So you're going to have options of where to do it. I wouldn't bet against OpenAI at this point.